What's going on, you loyal listeners? Thank you for tuning in to the L Squared Podcast. I'm your host here, Luke Larson, and joining me today, as per the usual, my lovely and loquacious special guest, never a co-host, Mr. Old Legs himself. What is up?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Always love being here.
Yeah, I mean,
via the web lines.
Right. Again, not physically here, but in spirit. Yeah.
But hey, we're pumping them out. We're here for the listeners.
Yeah, for you guys.
On demand, by demand.
Yeah.
You got to give the people what they want.
Right. I mean, they're paying for this. Wait, they're paying for this.
Exactly.
Yeah. They don't even know, but they're giving us money right now. And we're trying to give you guys what you want. That's what we're doing.
We'll be launching our paid prescription service.
Yeah.
Coming soon.
That's
so
right.
Get those wallets ready. Hey, if you guys weren't getting enough L squared in your life,
right? I know I wasn't.
We got some exciting stuff coming up.
I was thinking to myself, I could use some more L squared in my life, and I just have all this extra money laying around. I wish there's a way I could combine the two, and that's what we're doing. Mm-hmm. Did you like how I called you Mr. Old Legs there? It's a little more professional.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I know you've been trying to
Appreciate
get that
that
passed for a while, but we got through it. But we're here today to bring to you guys, we've seen a couple movies. If you listened to last week's episode, I had some homework I had to do, and, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I feel like I did pretty fucking good. I watched all the movies I was supposed to watch, plus a few extra. So Friday night, I got off work, and I went...
I'm gonna interrupt there. I did not do any extra work, so I just want the audience to know.
So in case you're keeping score at home, that's par for the course, as far as the show goes. So
correct.
Just one of the themes, I do all the work, I put in all the time and effort, and he just rides my coattails. So
ride the wave.
Yeah. So thank you for being a leech.
All right, continue.
Okay.
Continue.
So I get off work at 8. Now, I put some thought into this. I put some planning. I know it's surprising to some people out there. But I looked into it, and there were a couple showings, and I thought if I spun it just right, I'd be able to see 2 movies back-to-back with little to no lag time in between. So one of the movies I had to see was Halloween, which I saw. There was a showing for that at 8 o'clock, starting at 8. I got off work on Friday at 8 o'clock. So I had about a 12-minute drive to the theater. I figured, okay, I can drive to the theater, get my tickets, and sit down as the previews are ending for Halloween, right? So I should be able to do that. Doable.
That's doable.
Right. And then there was a showing for Mid90s, and the only showing for that was at 9:55 p.m. So Halloween was an hour 44 minutes. I figure if they start that runtime at 8, it'll get out at 9:44. That'll give me approximately 11 minutes to go to the bathroom, to possibly buy condiments and or refreshments, and then go into that theater. I figured.
So this is 2 movies.
2 movies.
1 bathroom break?
Yes.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm that skilled. So what I made sure to do...
We're going to have to get you in contact with I don't know, Greg Turkington,
Yeah. Or
Guinness
Book of World Records.
365 movies and
Right.
Guinness World Book of Records. I don't know how you're doing this.
I've just been in the zone. I don't know how I'm doing it. That's the thing. I want to test myself. I think that I'm taking performance-enhancing drugs somehow. Doesn't make sense to me either, guys. Really, I'm at a loss here.
I don't know how he's winking through it.
He's winking through it. I don't know how. But the thing is that there may, you could say there was some cheating involved, but what I made sure to do was go to the bathroom at 7:55 before I left work. A, so that I don't have to go when I get to the theater. B, I'm still getting paid to do that, which is always good.
Correct.
So I go to the bathroom at 7:55, clock out 8 o'clock, leave, pull in the parking lot at 8:15. I thought it was going to be 8:12, but there was unexpected road construction, so I'm 3 minutes behind. I think, okay, I've been here before, it's okay. I get in, I go to the ticket counter. I think, and here's another conundrum. I said, should I buy both tickets right now? And then I thought, you know what? I'm not going to leave and come back to the theater. They're not going to know. So I purchased one ticket for Halloween at 8 o'clock. They gave me the ticket. I went right in the theater, sat down right as the Universal logo was coming up. All previews were done. And I was like, this is amazing. Sat down, watched the whole movie. We'll get to my thoughts in a second. So, but I did miscalculate because I thought they would start the runtime right at 8. They didn't start it right at 8. They started it from the actual time of the movie, which makes more sense. So the movie got out more like right at 9:55, about 10 o'clock. But I figured the same would be true for Mid90s, that it would still have that, that few minutes of 15 minutes, 20 minutes of previews. So get out of Halloween about 10 o'clock, 10:05, and I have to pee really bad. So I go to the bathroom, and then I'm like, I have some time, go to the concessions, buy a large popcorn and a large pop. And the people in front of me were taking for fucking ever, and it was terrible, and I was getting nervous, but I did it anyway. Sat through, got them, went in. There were still some previews playing, so I sat my popcorn and my pop on my seat. That's when I went to the bathroom. I didn't go right away. Then I went to the bathroom, came back. Right as I sat in my seat, all the previews were done. The movie had started again, and I thought, I don't know how I got this perfect timing twice in a row. And then I saw Mid90s, and it was wonderful. One of my favorite movie-going experiences.
Wait, there was no conflict in that story.
No, that was it. It was like an episode of Entourage.
It just worked out really well.
Yeah, it was basically like Entourage for me. It all worked out.
After 30 minutes, it works out.
Yeah, everything was perfect. So,
all right.
That was it.
All right.
I'm just on another level, guys.
Okay.
And and they didn't card me. I did not pay to go see Mid90s, which I part of me regrets because it's a smaller movie and I should have just paid for that.
First, a little Zach Morris timeout here.
Is that the sound effect?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, just want to say, don't get fired. You took that 5-minute liberty, the bathroom break into the clock out, and you're not buying your tickets. Right. So I'm just putting it out there.
Look, guys, I'm just trying to be, as far as I know, you're not a cop, and
all
this is just.
I want to preference that Luke said I have a story about these two movies that I saw.
That's true, but
the story was that he was on time for both of them.
Yeah.
All right.
That
I like it.
And you know what? If I was listening to that story, I would think, man, that's really cool. I wish that would have happened to me. So you're welcome.
They're like, when is the rug gonna get pulled from under him?
No, that's the twist. Is that there is no twist.
I like it. So it's kind of like a segue into the Normacore.
Wow, nice
low
word.
Plot. Samplings from Mid90s that we're going to get into. Something doesn't have to happen for it to be.
It's a nice segue. It's just kind of like you're rolling down a hill on your longboard.
First, right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It was a nice try, but
we're still working this whole podcasting thing out.
We're still working it, needing out the kinks. So you talked a little bit about Halloween last episode, we talked about the episode before. For some reason, we can't stop franchising this, everyone, and we're doing it on the L Squared podcast, unfortunately. But, so, hot take, I liked it. I thought it was really good. Like I said on the last episode, I think I'd heard my friends say her one criticism of it was that it wasn't scary to her. I think she was going in. She's not like a Halloween fan, so I think she just went seeing this highly billed movie thinking it's going to be really scary, and it didn't really scare her, so she was kind of disappointed. But like you said, going into it being a fan of Halloween, I enjoyed it thoroughly. I thought, this is a good movie. Just a well-made movie. The themes lined up, and I liked what they did with it. It wasn't necessarily groundbreaking. It wasn't like it was trying to do too much. It wasn't like, it just stayed in its lane, and it was just a really well-made movie.
Am I right? I don't know if I expressed this last time we talked or if it was on the pod or not, but am I right in my feeling, at least especially early on in the movie, that you're kind of rooting for Michael?
Yeah, you did say that, and I was thinking about that the whole time.
I don't know if I said that to you or not, but I really felt that. I'm like, wow, am I just like a psychopath, or is that like what you're supposed to feel? But that's...
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't rule that first one out necessarily at this point, but yeah, I felt the same way. I wanted Michael to get out. I liked how they kind of went back to that world and had similar themes, but we're also able to take kind of a fresh take on it, which is your ideal scenario. That's what everybody says when they want to remake a movie. That's just kind of the elevator pitch that is given to you. But I thought they really did it well, and it started off with Michael, and I was in. I was rooting for him pretty much, like you said.
I actually thought that the shot of the male podcaster holding out the mask and that just kind of slow pan away from Michael was actually kind of like really well done. Just almost like kind of iconic. I don't know why I latch onto that. I really vividly see that, and just the say something because I think at this point, if you are looking for the series to move forward, that's like an obvious choice is for him to be like, look over at Laurie Strode at the end of the movie and be like, "Happy Halloween, bitch!" Which would be absolutely awful.
That would be the greatest thing ever. It'd be on par with Jurassic Park 3 when the raptor talked.
Right.
Alan.
Right. Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? What the fuck was that? Alan.
We're starving out here.
Oh my god.
Can you engineer some more goats?
Yeah, please. Wow, terrible.
Please, God.
But I liked, a lot of the choices they made, the world building they did, and I bought it, and I thought that they balanced. They were really good at balancing a good amount of realism, but also didn't take it too seriously. Didn't try to get too realistic.
Sure.
Still had obviously some movie qualities in it, but I thought they balanced it really well.
We'll know for sure that. So you asked it, is there going to be a sequel off air? And I said, absolutely not. That's insane.
Why would they do that?
They're done.
There's no more money to be made.
But we will know for sure that there's going to be a Halloween sequel when it comes out, and it has nothing to do with the aforementioned, plot give of the female heroine, gripping the knife. Kind of ominously, the same way that it was foreshadowed in 4 that Daniel Harris's character would, take the reins and
and it never happened.
And start murdering, but they dropped that one. So
and
that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to them completely starting over, and maybe Busta Rhymes is in the next one.
Oh, please bring it back. That's all I want. Did you like the? I don't know. We don't have to spend the whole time talking about it, but I really appreciated the beginning when they were talking to their stoner friend and the boyfriend of her friend, and he was basically saying, in today's world, a guy with a knife killing 5 people isn't that big of a deal, with everything else that's going on in the world. And I was like, that's a pretty cool, because that's definitely some criticism that I've heard from younger people about the original Halloween. Like, oh, it's just a guy with a knife. Like, who cares? And I thought, hey, I appreciate that, because that made it feel like it's getting a little meta, and also like taking some criticism. I don't know, it was just like little moments like that I was like, that just makes this a better movie to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would be an interesting discussion to have. Like, how much of the 24-hour news cycle would Michael Myers inhabit?
Yeah.
Would he get to next week if you had a guy in a mask,
right,
stabbing people?
I don't.
Not really sure what happened to him. Like, does that get past? I don't know. Like,
yeah, I don't think so.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
So
what was that segue you used before?
Oh, that ship has sailed.
Oh, okay. We can't go back to that? We can't segue back to a previous segue to use?
Right. No, I don't think that's ever been done.
Well, I tried to help you there. Hold on. Here we go. There we go. I had the audience clap
I've
for
already
us
done
there.
the Zach Morris timeout.
Yeah.
If you're asking me to reverse time,
that's physically impossible.
Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
so the second movie you saw,
Mid90s.
Mid90s.
I will say that I was a little concerned because I did just get off work and it's a long week and I just sat through a full movie. I was a bit concerned that maybe I would be nodding off during it,
Sure.
It was just a concern. I didn't think I would, but it is a concern. I didn't want to have that be held against the movie in case that did happen. But I said, I trust myself, I'll be okay. And I was. And in fact, the movie resonated with me and just hit me on this level that I wasn't expecting so hard that I, in fact, couldn't sleep until like 4 a.m. Because I got home and just kept, it just stayed with me. So did you see this last week or 2 weeks ago?
Yes, I think I saw it. Its opening weekend.
Okay.
Or its wide opening weekend. I was actually quite surprised that it was showing.
Yeah.
So I kind of ran to the theater just because I wasn't sure if it would be there for very long.
Right.
But I had about the same feeling. I think this is my favorite movie of the year.
Wow. Spoiler alert.
So far. And I haven't really given this any thought, as I tend to do.
What? I was being fake there. That wasn't a...
But just so I was thinking about it, and my favorite film last year, Lady Bird, was essentially a film about a teenage coming of age Catholic school, girl drama between this, high schooler and her mom. And I had really no reason at all to connect with it.
Right.
But I did, and, it made me feel something.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what this movie did, but on another level, because I was much closer to these characters as,
right.
Not just I don't claim to be a skateboarder or anything, even resembling, and I can ride a skateboard, but I can't do anything on it. That's, I got to pay healthcare now.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
It'd be like the worst hobby ever to pick up. I already have enough stupid hobbies, but
it's true.
Yeah, I remember doing that kind of stuff when I was younger, and just the kind of day-to-day going-ons of, making friends and, forming these tight bonds with kind of the ragtag group of,
right.
I really started out. What did you think? Give us a synopsis here. We can we can kind of dive in.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
How old were you in like 95? If we're
5.
just saying literally 5, okay. So you were a little bit younger than this guy, than the main character.
Yeah.
If we're just assuming it's 95.
A lot of the mid 2000s was harkening back to the mid 90s already, because it was so cool, just the bright flamboyant colors,
and us being in the Midwest, we kind of
life personalities of the Notorious B.I.G., Tupac. They were still looming quite large at that time, I think. And just the revolution of the internet and being able to go and read and learn and figure out all this stuff was, very much in that realm.
Yeah, because, and I think us being in the Midwest too, we got kind of the cultural things late, especially. That was kind of the last thing that we kind of got late before the emergence of the internet and instant information. So we were kind of experiencing the mid-90s in the 2000s, I would think, a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so I was like,
as was the rest of the world, we're all mining through the internet, finding all these things that are incredible.
Yeah. Because I was born in 95, so I was just a baby. But that being said, it really, Lady Bird again. We should have said this at the top. Guess what production company, what studio made this film? A24. I mean, does it even have to be said? I think you could probably tell by how
A24
podcast.
Club.
Yeah, it is. And we're not ashamed. Oh, I'm a little ashamed, but it's what there's no other production company that can make this. There's and they just keep doing it time after time. But a little synopsis. So the main character, what's his name? Let me just look. I don't even remember because I didn't really say it that much. Sonny? Oh, Sunburn.
Sonny Soljic.
Yeah. So Stevie.
Which is ironic because his name is Sunburn.
Yeah, they call him Sunburn. But
our nickname's cool.
God,
I don't know.
I have never seen in a movie how accurately it portrayed certain things.
Ray doesn't have a nickname.
Ray, yeah, fuck Ray. No, but just the way it so accurately portrayed certain things, like I think we've all been there when you're a younger kid hanging out with older kids, and you just kind of are trying to be cool, and you're trying to
you're
just happy to be there, and they're just doing stuff. You don't really know what's going on, but you're just smiling, and you're just happy to just see them being cool, and that kind of stuff. I haven't really seen that portrayed, that accurately. I really harken back to that. And then just the dynamics of a friendship and a group of friends and how that can kind of change and whatever. I don't know. Just some of that stuff was really impressive. I will say the opening couple. I don't know. This is one of those movies that's just about life. It's not really about a certain thing. There's not plot heavy. There's kids. There's skateboarding. This one kid has kind of not the ideal home life, but it's not super tragic or anything. And he's just kind of at that point where he's kind of finds this group of friends and he uses them to kind of he'll rebels a little bit and just becomes the coolest kid in the world. I was whoa, dude, this is really dialed up fast. But it's not plot heavy, which are the most interesting. But yeah, the beginning of the movie, it's just kind of. He's just kind of a normal kid. He idolizes his older brother, and
played by Lucas Hedges.
Lucas Hedges again.
I want to have a little Lucas Hedges conversation because I have some thoughts.
Okay, he was also in Lady Bird. and Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, and Manchester by the Sea, which I'll get to talk about. Which is just
I'll be bringing up
many times, yeah.
Shortly, right. Yes, in every podcast.
In every single podcast. We could pretty much connect any movie ever made to Manchester by the Sea, I'm pretty sure.
Maybe that's our gimmick. Is that how we make it big?
Yeah. I like that.
Those guys,
they're able to bring everything back to Manchester.
Skyscraper,
yeah.
I have it, yeah.
We're working on it. Yeah, it just, this is definitely, I don't know, I have to see all the movies first of the year, but before I make, but it's up there, and it's like, I'll say that I had a similar feeling coming out of 8th grade this year, where it just kind of hits that like nostalgic childhood secret place that you like don't really think about, you don't go to that often, you know what I mean?
Can we talk a little bit about nostalgia and when it's done right and when it's done wrong?
We can talk about whatever you want.
I feel like there's been certainly a nostalgia boom.
Stranger Things.
I think that's yeah. So it's just
that's the poster
Stranger
child.
Things.
Yeah.
And Stranger Things season 1 is great, and I don't want to get too deep in the weeds of where that series is going, but it's basically a Steven Spielberg,
Yeah, they cashed in on 80s nostalgia, and they did it well.
Yeah,
I mean, it worked, but
it's really done well. And this is very niche nostalgia that's done correctly, because that it is. It's not someone that was reading on the internet what was popular in the 90s. It was someone that lived through
They're not like,
really was
man, I love my Discman.
Yeah, and for anyone that doesn't know, so this movie was directed, written by directorial debut Jonah Hill, which is it's hard to not connect him and his celebrity stardom to this movie. I feel like if this was like just an unknown director, we'd be like losing our minds about like, who is this guy? Oh my gosh, this is crazy!
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I really appreciated the shirts that he's wearing, a Beavis and Butthead shirt, which is awesome.
Just so cool.
And yeah, there's so many references. Like, some of the references were references that you can't necessarily pull off the top of your head, but you're like, oh, yeah, that Far Side song. Like, She Keeps On Passing Me. Yeah, I remember that song. Like,
yeah.
Like, that's really, really cool. Like, I haven't heard that since the 90s.
Right.
But it fits, it doesn't feel like it's just blatantly pulling just the top, like choices for each thing, It's like you see a Nintendo game and it's not Super Mario, it's
right. And I kind of hate that I'm about to do this, but
oh boy, don't do it.
I really kind of hate myself right now. Well, I kind of already did anyway. Pain and Gain, the Michael Bay film, did 90s nostalgia the wrong way. Now, granted, it did a lot of things wrong way.
That's good. That's a good example.
Okay. I was just trying to think, and that was the first one that I thought of where I was like, oh, this is like 90s nostalgia. Oh, this fucking sucks.
But it's shot, with lens flare,
360-degree shots,
ridiculousness, and it's all weird and bright and shiny, and you're like, if you didn't know that it was set in the 90s, you'd have no idea. It's like, well, The Rock's like wearing these weird muscle shirts. I guess that
exactly.
Counts.
That's like, about it. Yeah.
So that's a good example. It doesn't feel forced. The nostalgia is certainly there, and it's a huge part of it, but it doesn't feel forced, and it doesn't feel fake.
The best way I would describe it would be lived in. Feels very lived in.
Yeah. If you would you say like, if you just showed this movie to somebody who'd never seen movies before, they'd probably say, well, yeah, wait, when was this movie made? Like, oh, is this an older movie kind of thing? Like,
yeah, and it looks like it was shot on, like, Super 8. Like, it looks like it was shot on 8mm too, which is
again another nostalgia try hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So. Sorry. But no, that's a great point, and I feel like it felt candid the whole time, and it just a lot of private moments, and just so many little things just keep creeping back up that stick out, like little things like, so what's his name, Stevie Sunburn, had the Super Nintendo in his room, and then they had the PlayStation 1 in the living room. Now, timeline tells you that the Super Nintendo is older. It's probably it's an older system. So they probably had that before, and then they got the newer system, the PlayStation, probably as a gift to both of them, and their mom said, none of this is said in the movie, but their mom said, well, we're going to keep this in the living room so that you both play it. And then he took the Super Nintendo into his room. And they never talk about that or even really show it or reference it. But just seeing that little tiny bit. Of
older brother.
Right. Yeah.
And Sonny Solik's character just getting the hand-me-downs, which he does throughout the movie.
Yeah.
He gets the skateboard from his brother.
He has to trade.
For it. And
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely felt all of that. But talking about some of the other characters in the movie, I thought this was... I didn't know really anything about the characters other than, it's directed by Jonah Hill, Sonny Solik. I remembered him from Killing of a Sacred Deer. And that was about it. And obviously Lucas Hedges, which we'll get to later, who plays the older brother, who's doing just the most insane Eminem, I don't even know what to call it, impression, but it's incredible.
It's literally a white kid
so
from
angsty.
The Burbs. Yeah.
So angsty.
And I'm glad we don't spend any more time on it, because I would not want to be around that character.
He's a tough hang.
Yeah.
Tough hang, for sure.
Wow.
The other character, so Sonny Solik's character, he's searching for friends. He finds a kind of ragtag group of skaters, played the leader of the group, Ray, played by Nicole Smith. The flamboyant, talented but not terribly driven Olin Prennett plays the character Fuck Shit.
Love it.
His name
Great
in the
name.
movie.
Yeah.
And then the surrogate into the group, Ruben's character, played by Gio Galicia.
Great actor. Did a great job.
He's at the bottom of the totem pole, and you kind of see that hierarchy as well, where you can get in with this guy, and you're kind of hanging out, and you see Sunburn's character, how he kind of he elevates past, and that kind of tension
very
builds
quickly.
up.
Yeah.
The last character in the group, fourth grade. Name is fourth grade because they don't think his intelligence is not much past fourth grade. Is also a skater, played by Ryder McAlpin, who is just basically filming the whole time, which is pretty cool. But,
and he just films everything and has bad acne. And
so I want to ask you this question.
Yep.
So, not knowing anything, other than Lucas Hedges in this movie, who we know as an established character, established actor, would you say that these characters, Sonny Solik included, who we already have seen in other things, are they skaters or actors, or are they actors that are skaters?
I don't know.
What comes first?
I don't know, but I'll say that Sonny Solik and the mom, who was in Alien Covenant, I think.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Catherine Watterson.
Yeah. So I would say Sonny Solik, Catherine Watterson, and Lucas Hedges are actors first, skaters second.
Yep.
I would say Ray is a skater first, actor second. I would say same for fourth grade. And then I would say that it's this. The next one's and then the what's the Ruben character's name?
Gio Jalisi,
yeah.
That's his name, Ruben.
I would say he is an actor first and a skater second. And then fuck shit's the tough one because I initially want to say skater first, actor second, but he's just so charismatic and flamboyant that I think he could be an actor first. But I'm going to stick with my gut and say skater first, actor second.
Yeah, so you pretty much got there. So all those guys that you named, everyone in the crew, they're all professional skateboarders, which I thought was pretty incredible. Because, again, they're partly playing themselves, but they're so goddamn charismatic.
Yes, they are.
Wow, I guess it's not much of a stretch for a skateboarder playing a skateboarder, but, I mean, we've seen, insert any rapper / R&B artist, Will.I.am into a movie, and you're just like, oh my god, like, please, like, athletes are the same way. And, it's pretty incredible that, that they were able to pull this off. And the one that you missed, Sonny Sulek, is a really good skateboarder.
Really?
If you go onto YouTube, incredible.
So he's a skater first.
I go onto YouTube. It's pretty mind-blowing.
So he was skateboarding before he was an actor.
Yeah.
Damn.
So
it's like since he was a baby. How old is that guy? God.
That brings me to one of my favorite parts of the movie, and this is where I get to weave in the Manchester by the Sea.
Of course.
Hold on, buckle in. The fact that, so if you're just thinking about this movie and you have to like write down like, okay, this is a coming of age movie about skateboarders in southern Los Angeles, what happens? Sure. So Sonny Sulek's character, he becomes friends. He's not a very good skateboarder. He gets a little bit better. He gets better, and by the end of the movie, he's dropping into bowls and he's doing kickflips and everything. But none of that happens. He doesn't become good at skating.
Right. He really does. Yeah, I mean, okay. he gets better.
He's okay.
Yeah.
But his real life talent is insane compared to what they actually put on the screen, and I respect that decision so much. Of the idea of having this talent that this already pretty gifted actor has and just not using it. Wow. I thought was really cool. Because again, it harkens towards, so this kid's been skating for what, like a couple months? Like he's not going to just get better. Like these other kids that he's been skating with, they've been living and breathing it their whole life. Yeah. So it wouldn't make sense narratively for him to just get really good and be just as good as that, which they certainly could have done because their lead actor is an incredible skater. Yeah, he is. Wow. And that's, so that's the whole Manchester by the Sea thing where, people, they need time, and it doesn't, you don't see the whole progress. You don't see the whole thing on screen. Right. Because it cheats the narrative. Wow. And so I don't know. I thought that was really cool. I couldn't believe that. A really cool part about this movie, if you want like the deleted scenes, you just go ahead and you go to YouTube and you can find hours and hours and hours of all these dudes skating together, which is, pretty cool. Yeah. Wow. What do you think? You said a lot right there. I mean, wow, I'm just kind of still processing that, but this is a movie that I'm so excited to see again, and I want to kind of revisit, but at the same time, it's like it did kind of. It's an emotional. I mean, it's not like super emotional, but it really gets in deep and it gets its hooks into you. And, I'd like to watch it again, but there was just so much in there that I might need to wait a little bit to kind of build myself back up. Like, with 8th grade, when I saw that, like, that kind of did a similar thing. And there were just a couple scenes in that movie where I'm like, boy, I'm going to need some time before I can, like, get back to that. But this movie is just phenomenal. And if it's showing near you, it's really
this is the kind of movie that like makes me love movies. It makes me want to go see movies. Is this right here, and there's no higher compliment that I can give a movie, and if you should just go see it, like literally everyone should, and I feel like one of the things I think about sometimes is before I was enlightened, quote unquote, as far as knowing more about movies and seeing movies all the time and kind of getting my footing, acquiring my palate, so to say. Like when I was a pleb, is the easiest way to say it. When I was younger, like when I would see a movie that was doing
such a normie,
just a normie, yeah. Like when I would see a movie that was doing interesting things, I wouldn't always be like, and that were really good. I wouldn't always be like, oh, that was good. In my mind, I would be like, oh, that's interesting, but like some of these people don't like it, so I can't be like, I like it. So I just have to be like, yeah, that was weird. But then they stick with you and they stick in your craw on certain things, and that would happen to me when I was younger, and I would just like think about certain things from these movies over and over, and they would really get in deep, and I wouldn't like put two and two together that's like, no, that means that you like it. You know what I mean? And it's just like, there was a time in my life where it was like, if a movie isn't like this big action movie or like an Oscar drama, that it isn't, it would be labeled as weird and not like really good in my mind, but I think it's important because when those movies planted their seeds later on, when I grew to appreciate movies and not just movies, but become a real person, become your own person, you kind of figure out what you like, what you don't like, and some of those things, those seeds that planted, blossomed a little bit, and I was able to use that to, acquire my taste. I don't even really know exactly what I'm talking about here, but I just feel like it's important. If you think that movies like this, we sound probably super pretentious talking about this, but if you're just a normie out there, if you're just a pleb and you're like, wow, these guys are freaking nerds, like, go see it. And if it doesn't stick with you, maybe it'll plant a seed that later on will, bring some meaning into your life.
Maybe go watch Skyscraper instead.
Yeah. No. Forget what I said. Just do that. That'd be easier.
Last thing I want to bring up is the Lucas Hedges thing, because I think we're at a point where we can do a little bit of forecasting, and I'm wondering,
okay,
based on the body of work that we have, that with any great actor and any, I don't want to use the GOAT acronym because I think that's wildly overused, but if you look back at any of these really great long-standing actors, they all take off at a certain point. And if you were looking back, I'm not sure watching, Gilbert Grape, are you just seeing that and you're just, wow, Leo's the one. He's the next thing. Are we at that point with Lucas Hedges? Are we going to be having this conversation in 10 or so years? Like this guy's the best in the business.
I think we could. A couple things have to happen though first, I think, before we can say that. He's been in a lot of small supporting roles in great movies. So is he a system player, in other words? You know what I mean? Is he just really good at picking good movies? I think that's unfair to say because I think he is a great actor and he wouldn't have gotten those parts in those great movies if he wasn't.
Sure. But
I'm just saying, like, it has to be said. And the meatiest role he's had was in Manchester by the Sea, and he did great. I could have taken more of a Boston accent out of him, to be honest with you. But that's neither here nor there. I think he needs a good I think the next step is for him to carry one of these smaller movies and have another meaty role like that, and if he's able to bounce off another big star. Because I think if you're doing the Leo comparison, Leo was obviously phenomenal in that film, but Johnny Depp was the up-and-coming star at that time. He was pretty much the star. And so people went to see it for Johnny Depp, and they're like, wow, this Leo kid's running laps around Johnny Depp. And so I think if you can get him into a spot where he has this good, juicy, meaty role, and he's playing off an established guy or an up-and-coming guy that people will go see, then I feel like if he can, he did well with Casey Affleck. He really did very well playing with him, so maybe that was enough. But I just kind of want to see like him take the next step, and hopefully maybe that's a Transformers film. I don't know. We'll see.
Right. I just want to... We don't have to spend too much time, but are we sure that wasn't Johnny Depp playing Leonardo DiCaprio in Gilbert Grape? Sure you didn't have a mask on? Face paint?
That sounds like...
I'm just saying.
I'm
just throwing it out there.
I think that's...
I don't have any knowledge, I don't have any inside info, but...
That sounds like a Reddit...
I'm hearing...
That sounds like a Reddit post that needs more info.
So...
Yeah, we'll save that for your Reddit page.
So let's table that for now. But I just want to put it out there. I want to stake that claim.
We're all watching Lucas Hedges. All of us, all us L Squared, all our loyal listeners. We're all going to be watching out for Lucas Hedges. Just keep him in mind. We're going to be watching him
before he gets his big one. Before he gets his. I'm not sure what that movie's going to look like, but I'm excited for it.
But we'll be there.
So, I'll just put it out there. I got season passes to Lucas Hedges.
Me too.
So, yeah. So
you know who else I got season passes for? Nicolas Cage. No matter what he's in, I will sit down and watch it. And
season passes to Nick Cage. That's the equivalent to having season passes to a baseball team as compared to like a football team that
That's
plays
a very good comparison, yeah.
6 games a year as opposed to baseball where you're showing up to the stadium 57 times a year.
Yeah.
And you're paying for parking every time.
And, 50 of those 57, they're not winning that game, and they're not even coming close, It's... But I'm still there.
Those are Nick Cage season tickets.
But I spent the money, and I'm here.
And I'll tell you what, I'm down by the third base line.
I am.
I got nice seats.
Oh, yeah. I've really put my life in a hindrance to be able to afford these tickets, but I'm here. And
thank you, Nick.
Thank you, Nick. That's what I say every time.
What's our next movie?
So the next movie is the latest installment. It does, believe it or not. It would be very strange to just throw that out there and then completely go the opposite way. Mandy came out. Mandy! So this trailer dropped a few months ago. Was it like a couple months ago? And it, I don't use this phrase lightly, but it kind of blew my dick off. It really, it got in there, and I was like, wow, this looks fucking trippy as shit. It looks like there's some weird cult stuff. It looks like weird psychedelic things. There's maybe some demon sex monsters, and there's Nick Cage wielding an array of different weapons, and it just looked like something out of one of my fever dreams, and I was so excited to see it.
Right, yeah. Could we consider it is this a prequel to Marley, May, Marlene? Marcy, Marley, May, Marlene?
Yeah,
Mandy
sure.
Being the first?
The Mary Tyler Moore, yeah.
Mandy, Marcy, Marley, May, Marlene?
Yeah.
Yeah!
That's for you guys keeping track at home,
the cult trilogy.
Yeah, that's Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene is like one of the oldest.
We box that up into a trilogy here. We find one more.
Whenever Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood about the Manson murders. Maybe that if that is enough cult stuff, we could throw that in there.
But the movie has to have a female name that starts with an M, and it has to be about cults.
Fuck.
So one more of those. Come on, Hollywood. Here we go.
Yeah. we need that triple feature.
Mandy, what were your impressions?
Well, I watched it literally last night, and
good. So it's still pretty.
It's very fresh. Yeah. So I haven't been able to really sit back and think a lot about it, so I'm kind of doing the thinking right now live. But I'll say it wasn't 100% what I expected. But it was satisfying and trippy, which I thought it'd be trippy. I thought I would laugh at the absurdity of it, which I 1,000% did. But it did it for me. I'll say that. I mean, it's going to sound like a really weird critique of it, but I could have used a little more character development for Nick Cage's character. I don't want to sell the movie short because I think it's great. And I love the soundtrack. I love the visuals. It's really weird, obviously, that goes without saying, but it's unique, and I really love the aesthetics of it, and I love most things about it, but it just it focuses hard on the character development of Mandy, which makes sense. Are we getting into spoilers on here?
Yeah.
Okay. So, spoilers for Mandy if you want to see it. If I can go see it.
Again, this is a film that's not necessarily that plot heavy.
Right. So
and if you watch the trailer, you have kind of an
idea of
what
happens.
So I would, the genre of the film is revenge fantasy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's.
So you have a pretty good idea. So if I'm saying spoiler alert, it means that fucking Mandy dies. So
Mandy dies.
So when that happens, they were using their plot development with her. They were laying that on pretty thick, and it was working. And then Mandy's dead midway through the movie. That kind of starts the second half of the movie.
Sure.
Really, well, I guess it kind of the end into the third act, but it pretty much starts the second act. Either way, and then it's Nick Cage on this revenge trip, which worked, and it was fun, and it's just always fun to see Nick Cage just go fucking nuts, which was great. But if I had gotten to know Nick Cage a little bit before that, and been able to gotten to know his character, I would have enjoyed him losing his shit and going crazy even more. You know what I mean? And
yeah, so this film. This was a film that about 20 minutes into my viewing, I paused it and I went and grabbed. I don't normally do this, and I don't have the sheet of paper here in front of me, so what real use was it? But I went and grabbed a pen and paper, and I started just writing stuff down that I didn't really understand or that I thought might be somewhat significant, because, like you said, this is not a terribly plot-heavy movie.
Like, what we told you is basically the whole plot.
Sure. Yeah, Nick Cage, his wife is seen by a cult leader who's played by
Batman's dad.
Denny.
Yeah, Batman's dad.
Yes. And who, crazily enough, is a cult leader in real life. So that's
really weird.
That's internet facts right there. It's got to be true, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
Mandy becomes the obsession of a cult leader. The cult leader goes through some means to abduct her. Mandy dies, and that sets in forth the motion of Nick Cage's revenge, LSD-fueled trip through the forest. Mm-hmm. So that's what it is.
Yep.
The film isn't here to really blow us away with plot or any
conventional
type of gotcha moment. Yeah, but it's something to look at. It's like you said, it's incredible soundtrack, the cinematography, the art design, it's really well done.
Mm-hmm. And how it was so heavily inspired by, like, it so clearly takes place in, like, the early 80s, like late 70s, early 80s. It's just like, I think like 81, just clearly without them saying, and then like very heavily influenced by like the heavy metal bands of the time with the artwork and the visuals played into all that. And it was just, that kind of stuff was, I appreciated a lot.
Yeah, so there's, like you said, it's 80s inspired. I think the film works in 3 separate parts.
Okay.
If I was thinking very deeply about it, which I haven't really, but
right.
So the first half of the movie, and like you said, the character development thing, I agree and disagree with a film like this. In films like these, a lot of the times the main protagonist isn't even given a name. You know, they're basically just given a mission. Mm-hmm. And so I thought that a lot of the start of the movie was geared towards fleshing out Mandy's character to basically show Nick Cage's infatuation and love for his wife. And he kind of he almost like latches on to just, you know, everything she says when she's talking about, you know, all her crazy shit with the cosmos and whatnot. Right. I don't know what any of that stuff means. Like, I'm sure there's YouTube deep dives and whatnot, but
sure.
The first half of the film works pretty well, and then so the cult leader, in order to get Mandy, I guess he makes a deal with, I don't even know what you call them, the 4 horsemen, the Cenobites. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't really know either.
They kind of reminded me of the Cenobites. I was kind of hoping they'd be more Cenobite-y. You don't really see them very well, except for some weird, sadistic,
they just look
nature to their beings.
Yeah, they just look like BDSM demon type things with spikes.
They look really cool.
Like, they do look really cool.
I'm not taking away.
Like if they're creepy and they're lit creepily, and they ride ATVs, and
they were more vague than something like the Hellraiser Cenobites are. You look at him and you're like, oh, that's like the Chatterer, and that's what his name is, like Chatterer, you know? Or it's like, oh, that's Pinhead, and he has like pinheads in him. Like, these are more just kind of vague, dark, spiky looking guys. You couldn't really put names on them, I guess. So the cult leader calls upon these crazy dudes to abduct Mandy. They do it for him, and they abduct her, and he opens himself. I gotta ask this: are you a fan of Carpenters?
You know what? I kind of am. Like,
are you actually
ironically, I kind of like them a little bit. Yeah, like.
Okay, I didn't really know if it was like a real band or not.
They're very cheesy, but I kind of like them a little bit.
Shoot, I was gonna open the podcast with that. Are you a fan of the Carpenters?
They have a couple. They're just super cheesy love songs, but I mean, ironically, they're not like my favorite, but I like them. For what they are.
So the cult leader, his rage basically ends with him killing Mandy in front of Nick Cage's character.
Yeah.
And this brings us into the second portion of the film, which I would call the interlude, and this is the shortest portion of the film, but this is, we got to talk about this. The interlude being between his revenge and his tragedy is the Cheddar Goblin.
Yeah, so the Cheddar Goblin has had some mythos.
Just explain the Cheddar Goblin, man.
Well, yeah.
The floor is yours.
Like, the thing is, like, so, shout out here to our resident Uncle Chuck. We need to get him back on the show, too, by the way.
Right. Man from Uncle 2.
Man from Uncle 2, yeah, that's why I'm back. But I fucking hate him because he just lives in Milwaukee, so he gets to go to, like, these fucking cool-ass theaters and see these bomb-ass movies that we don't even get, like, right away, like, months in advance. I'm like, fuck you, Chuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Chuck you.
And his only reaction to Mandy was Cheddar Goblin.
Cheddar Goblin. He was like, we were like, oh, he saw Mandy, and he's like, all I have to say is Cheddar Goblin. And that got me so excited, because I'm like, I don't know what that means, but I'm very excited to find out. And I was like, oh, yeah, there's a Cheddar Goblin. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think...
I don't want to ruin the surprise for these guys.
I don't even want to spoil the Cheddar Goblin.
Right, we can't do that.
And it wouldn't be doing us justice to sit here and, ramble on about, Cheddar Goblin is the cheat. Kids and goblins agree.
You're right. I don't even want to say that.
Cheddar Goblin is the cheesiest.
Yeah.
So
we don't need to get in that debate.
Yeah. The Cheddar Goblin's amazing. It's one of my favorite things I've seen in film this year. I don't know how that came about or why they chose to do that then, but it was great. Nick Cage's reaction to it was incredible. It was like he was seeing it for the first time. His only reaction was Cheddar Goblin.
Yeah.
But, yeah, for me, after that point, it goes straight. It makes a big tonal shift, and this is where I would maybe disagree with you a little bit with like the character development, because he does say no to drinking beer at the start, but then his, like you said, the Nick Cage crazy comes out when he starts downing the vodka,
and then and then snorting coke and
so. One of the things I was thinking about when I thought about this, that was a terrible sentence, thinking about when I thought about this movie was, I haven't really seen a film that matches Nick Cage's intensity, or maybe exceeds it, and I thought that was really an interesting wrinkle. It seemed like such a perfect marriage, because like, wow, this film's really going for it, and you have Nick Cage here who's, known, just very notorious for overshooting, overacting these seminal scenes, that just kind of not ruin the movie because we love it, but to have a film that
chewing scenery
that goes above and beyond his level of crazy is really kind of something incredible. I don't know if I've seen that. Can you think of anything else? Like,
no, I mean, that's a really great
necessarily get
point.
That Ghost Rider.
No, I mean, it's definitely like they use his energy and his eccentricities to like perpetuate the film and to like amp it up, but this movie kind of like is already way amped up, so he just fits.
It's such a perfect marriage.
Yeah, like I would want to say
does this film work if it's Liam Neeson?
No, not even close.
Right, like I'm trying to I was going through in my head. I was watching this. I'm like, my God, like.
No.
I hope we see a couple more of these films with Cage in them, because wow, they're.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I'm
not screaming for sequels, but I just really think this is a perfect marriage here.
Yeah,
the way,
and you saying that
Paul Thomas Anderson will latch on to just a couple guys where he works with Joaquin Phoenix a bunch of times, and it just makes so much sense every time.
Yeah,
where it's like, wow, I just this is it right here.
Like
it's
Scorsese and DiCaprio.
B-movie. Craziness with this kind of weird art house feel.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead. I think I interrupted you like 7 times.
Yeah, and I don't appreciate it, but whatever.
I got one more thing to say. No.
Yeah. I just want to say that you making that point, that's a really good point, and it drives it home, and I think that makes me appreciate the film even more just by you saying that. Like, just having this film be so amped up on his level, like, we haven't really seen a movie do that, and that makes me really appreciate it more, because I hadn't really thought about it like that. And it's almost like Nick Cage is like, everyone else is like trying to get to that level, and Nick Cage is just there. It's almost like everyone else is doing what Nick Cage does in a movie, trying to chew scenery and trying to be all crazy, and it's like, you can't out-crazy Nick Cage. He's already just there, so he doesn't even have to try. It's really, that's a very good point. I think the cult leader, Batman's dad, what's the Linus Roach's character, Jeremiah.
Right. Yep.
He was fucking really good in this movie, and creepy, and so clearly had fucking self-esteem shit, which was just great. And
his embarrassment leads to it's not an act of like malice or hate, really. It's
just that
him being called out in front of
on his shit, in front of his
leads to just utter,
the male ego,
I agree.
Yeah, and so those parts of the movies were really like the most fascinating, and like when he starts playing that song, and I just you hear it, and it's like, oh Jeremiah, what's this great thing? And I'm like, okay, did he just find a song that had his name in it? And then when she was like, you wrote this song? He's like, yes, I did. We made it. She's like, well, it's fucking terrible. And I laughed because I was like, it is fucking terrible. And I was like, oh my God, you made this song for yourself? That really got me. And then she starts laughing, and he freaks out after he shows his dick to her and all that stuff. But, this movie really goes for it, and, the term pulls no punches kind of gets thrown around a lot, but this really cranked up the intensity, and it was it's a fun ride, man. I really liked it a lot.
Yeah, I think there's a lot in this film. Obviously, with any movie that's not as heavy on dialogue and more relies on symbolism, you can interpret that symbolism however you want. So I'm sure there's going to be multiple different interpretations of this movie. The only things I can really think of off the top of my head that jumped out to me that I was like, oh, that makes sense. Like he's wearing a tiger shirt.
Yeah.
And then when he meets the chemist, and I'm just reading. So I'm on IMDb right now. I'm just like chemist. Like, okay, so I guess that guy was the chemist.
Right.
And the chemist releases the tiger.
Yeah.
And that's when he really cranks up the crazy.
And he doesn't even say a word. Yeah. To that guy.
He kind of, I don't know. He kind of talks telepathically to him. I don't know.
We
At
assume,
that point, it's all over.
Right. Yeah.
All bets are off, but do I know what the chemist was? I have no idea. Do I know what their cult was or what their goals were or why they took me? Like, no idea.
So I'm glad that we got to this point, because I wanted to bring this up anyway. But you're talking about meanings and symbolism and whatever else. So I am willing to bet my life, my mortgage, my dog, my car. I'm willing to bet at literally everything I own that there is a fan theory. If there isn't out there now, there will be. But I'm sure there is a fan theory that when Nicolas Cage is tied up with barbed wire and they burn Mandy alive in front of him and they stab him in the side, right? And then he kind of passes out and then eventually like wakes up and gets out of it and then goes
the resurrection.
Yeah, that I guarantee you that they say that he actually died in that moment, and the rest of the movie is just his final thoughts of like him dying, that he's just fantasizing this revenge, which is why he goes crazy, which is why everything looks all crazy and like colorful and all that shit. And that it's just him dying. And then him driving off in the car is him finding her soul as they go into heaven together. Now, that could be what the filmmaker meant, but my point is that is every fucking fan theory about a movie. You could make that about any movie. I'm watching this movie, and when that scene happens, I'm like, oh great, I can already see the stupid fan theories. I cannot stand it.
Tune in next week when we talk about how Manchester by the Sea
is actually a fever dream. Casey Affleck dies in the first minute, and then it's just it drives me nuts, and I swear I'm the only person who talks about it. And I didn't realize I was this passionate about it until recently. But it's like you could do it about any movie, like straight up. You could just find a point in a movie and be like, oh, he died right here, and the rest of the movie is just him, and that's why the rest is, and it's like, shut the fuck up, alright? Not everything is about that. Like, it drives me crazy. And, maybe that's what the filmmaker intended, but if it is, I'm not happy with it, because that's just, I feel like that's lazy and annoying, and I don't know why I'm critiquing fan fiction here, but I fucking hate it,
So, to our viewers out there who are, how do I deal with that guy that he's really just set on this theory? Just ask him a simple question. How do you explain the Cheddar Goblin?
Yeah, there we go.
I don't know.
Oh, did he fantasize that too? Was that part of his revenge fantasy? Was the Cheddar Goblin?
Yeah, dude. Go find references to the Cheddar Goblin in the Old Testament.
Right.
Come back to me.
Yeah, come back to me. Right? Then we'll talk. Yep, then we'll talk.
So, yeah, no, it's funny. I agree with you that I think things are over theorized, and that's kind of like the lost effect with like the internet and Reddit and just message boards, and that stuff's fun. But I agree with you that I don't particularly just subscribe to wholeheartedly latching onto one specific theory, because that's absolutely what it has to be. Mm-hmm. Because the director, they make these movies, and granted, they think out a lot of stuff, but it's open to interpretation. That's what makes it interesting.
Yep.
So you can have a conversation about it. If it just is what it is, then we're not sitting here talking about it.
If you want to see in my opinion, the best like film theories, watch the documentary Room 237. That's like one of my favorite documentaries ever. It's all about people's theories about what they think The Shining, the hidden meanings in that are, and that's good stuff. And not one about that Jack Torrance actually died, and this is all just his fever dream as he's dying. Not one. I will tell you that.
And if you want to watch a film that there are no fan theories about, but is certainly up for interpretation, go check out Holy Motors.
Holy Motors. We did a deep dive on that.
No one's cracked the code yet.
No, and we tried. I thought we were going to do it. That was early on in the podcasting, but we wanted to do a deep dive on a couple movies, and that was the big one.
I think that's the only film where I sat down and I really tried to just read it every scene.
I remember that theory you wrote out years ago, and I liked it. It made some sense. You were tapping into it, I think.
I had it going for a little bit.
Yeah, you were scratching the surface on that. But
broke my heart.
Broke my heart. Man.
Oh, we gotta stop this.
Yeah, we do. We really do.
Watch a new movie.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So, what's our homework for this next week?
So, some films coming up. Not sure what we're going to be looking at next week.
So I haven't seen...
For those of you that follow the L Squared podcast closely, you'll notice that Luke claims to have watched the Castlevania series on Netflix, and I dare him.
I have proof.
Him to come on his own podcast and talk about it and prove that he's seen it. He's shown us the Netflix browsing history.
I tweeted it out.
Doctored. I don't think that was his browser.
No.
I haven't seen the IP address.
That was me.
None of that says to me Luke Larson has watched a television show. So I'm calling him out right here. I'm calling him out.
Wow.
If you've actually seen the show, come on to your own podcast next week and talk about it. I dare you.
I will. I have seen the whole thing. And, I've publicly renounced television, and somehow I've watched the whole series of that. I watched Maniac.
Show you his ticket stub. He can't.
He can't. He can't.
He can't.
Yeah. No, yeah. Wow, you're calling me out.
Possibly coming up. We'll see what's coming down the pipeline. Creed 2 is very close.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm a little
feel
worried.
The weight of Drago's son's punch weighing down on me.
I don't know, man. I'm a little worried.
You're crazy, man.
I'm just afraid that it's just not gonna, you know what I mean? I'm just afraid. That's all. Just a little bit afraid. Ryan Coogler's not coming back, and I don't want it to be I don't want it to get super cheesy again. Like Creed was just so perfect, and just the right amount of cheese. Threw some grittiness in there.
Well, go back and watch that trailer, and tell me you don't get the mid-90s goosebumps.
What if I told you?
Coming in on the chorus.
What if I told you I haven't watched it?
Oh.
Yeah, that's a hot take.
There you go. So, anything else?
Nah, man. Nah, we covered a lot today. That's good. But yeah, as always, check us out on Twitter. You can find me at LukeLarson89. You can find us at the L Squared Podcast on Twitter, Facebook. You're listening to us on SoundCloud, on YouTube. So hit us up if there's movies you want us to see. If you've seen the movies we talk about, let's open up a discussion and kind of tweet at us your thoughts or reach out to us, and we'll keep those lines of communication open. Keep in mind, we are the official podcast of the South Dakota Film Festival. Again, we're not really sure if we're allowed to say that, but hey, here we are. So, until next time, thanks for tuning in.
Peace.